You are Locked On Nuggets POSTCAST, powered by Mile High Sports, part of Locked On Sports Denver on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Nuggets Nation, how are we feeling out there after the Denver Nuggets secure not just a great win, but their best win of the season? A Saturday afternoon matinee, the Denver Nuggets, despite multiple times throughout the course of the game looking confused and down and out at times, in my opinion, they figure out a way to hold on, battle, send the game gets into overtime, and they win this one 136 to 134. Without a doubt, in my opinion, the best win of the season for the Denver Nuggets. So much to unpack, so much to digest and just kind of process in what was just a sensational basketball game for the Denver Nuggets, in particular late, where you really saw there was so much good from this game today with respect to questions that we've had about this Nuggets team. We'll talk about Nikola Jokic, who was absolutely ballistic today. MVP mode for Nikola. I have some thoughts about that. We'll talk about Aaron Gordon. We'll talk about clutch defense. We'll also talk about Cam Johnson and Christian Braun, who I think had excellent performances in this game as well. That while you saw Jokic and AG, and I know Cam Johnson had that big three-point shot late as well, but like a lot of the conversation late in the game shifts to Nikola Jokic, as it should, which we will talk about extensively here on the program. But this, to me, was a team win for the Denver Nuggets. And again, just a signature moment. And I think my big kind of takeaway from this one is a number of different things.
This is what you'll be talking about.
I think what we'll be talking about is the Nuggets showed answers to a lot of the questions that we've had with them throughout the course of the season. Clutch defense on display. Clutch play overall on display. Jokic flipping a switch, MVP mode. Contributions from CB and Cam Johnson. And the overall importance of Aaron Gordon offensively and defensively. We know what he brings defensively, but Aaron Gordon tonight as well, I thought, or this afternoon rather, I should say, you just felt his impact from start to finish in this game. And there was that kind of awkward sequence early in the game where it looked like he was coming up limping, grabbing the calf there a little bit. Thankfully, he did not have to, be sidelined or anything like that. He was able to stick it out and get this win for the Denver Nuggets. And I think another just big picture thought here about this win is the 3 seed is now very much in play for this Nuggets team. I mean, you look at what the Lakers are going through. Austin Reeves out, Luka Doncic out. You're going to have old man LeBron James, who's still incredible in his own right, but can LeBron carry this Lakers team down the stretch these last handful of games? This Nuggets team is now on an 8-game win streak, and if Denver can essentially win out and take care of business down here in the stretch of the regular season, I think there's a very, very, very good chance that you see the Denver Nuggets capture that 3 seed, which would be absolutely massive. Absolutely massive. But man, what a win for this team, man. I mean, seriously, I'm going through just watching the game. I'm like, oh my gosh, the defense is abysmal. What's going on? I mean, it felt like there was 4 or 5 times, probably more than that throughout the course of this game, where Denver would cut it to, 4 points, 6 points, single digits even. I time-stamped or I wrote down a couple of these scores. I mean, I think you had, 96, 94, 1 point, 107, 104, 113, 111, and it just felt like Denver would get this close to taking the lead, and they were unable to do it until late in the game, in particular late in the fourth quarter, and that Jamal Murray 3 that ultimately put up Denver 116 to 115. I know there was some back and forth play after that as well, but that was kind of the start of it to a certain extent. And then you have Jokic finding Aaron Gordon there for the eventual game-tying bucket, which knotted it up at 124 apiece to ultimately send this game to overtime. That's when you saw this Nuggets team, I think, kind of kick it into another gear. So it was a bit of survival mode, of hanging around, waiting to break through. Denver was able to get to that overtime period, despite some pretty solid play late in the fourth quarter just to even get there. But once we saw the Nuggets get to overtime, man, I mean, it was up and away. And I just think there's so much to be excited about from this win here tonight. or I keep saying tonight, it's this afternoon. Sorry, I'm used to doing these shows in the evening time. And it's just one of those situations where, if you're one of those people like myself that has kind of been up and down on this team with respect to championship caliber, all that kind of stuff, like today was a game that kind of reminded you of who this team can be and how dangerous they can be when they play their best. And I actually don't think, like, Denver played their best late in the game, but we're talking about collectively for 4 quarters. I mean, there were some rocky moments throughout the course of this game, and I understand that's always going to be the case, right? But I think there's still even another level. Like, Jamal Murray was not really a massive threat offensively in this game. I know he hit a couple of big shots, but like, you didn't get the full version, the peak version of Jamal Murray that we've seen throughout the course of the season. Obviously, we got that from Nikola Jokic. We got great contributions from Cam Johnson and Christian Braun, Aaron Gordon, right? But it just shows you that when this team fires on all cylinders, and this is probably the closest that we've seen against a really quality opponent to the Nuggets being that, and I understand Denver had just come back from down 20 last time they played San Antonio, but Wemby was not playing in that game. That was obviously an awesome win for Denver, but with Wemby playing today and Wemby getting to the line and the refs early in the first half and late in this game as well, I mean, that was a tenacious victory for this Denver Nuggets team. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Let's get into our turning point.
Time to reveal where the game was won or lost. It's the turning point.
I think that turning point is just that final little sequence there in the fourth quarter, but in particular in overtime. I mean, and I think Jamal Murray, despite not, having a jaw-dropping game like we've seen from him throughout the course of this season, that first possession of overtime where you saw Jamal kind of jump into the stands to save the ball, like that to me is a tone setter to a certain extent. And Denver defensively really clamped down on San Antonio. San Antonio just shot 33% from overtime, which is absolutely sensational for this Nuggets team. And I'm not going to lie, Wemby on that final shot before overtime, I thought that was going in, but great defense from Aaron Gordon on Victor Wembanyama in that scenario. And look, it's borderline impossible. Borderline impossible to defend Victor Wembanyama with just he makes Aaron Gordon look small. And I've stood next to Aaron Gordon. I've interviewed Aaron Gordon. I've watched Aaron Gordon up close and personal like this. He's not a small guy by any stretch of the imagination, but like that's what Wemby just kind of does to a team. And he physically imposes his will on other teams. And you saw that happen in particular early in this game. I mean, Wembanyama, let's take a look here, finishes, with 34 points, 8 of 17 from the field, and 18 rebounds to pair with 7 assists. But I think also what you saw today from the San Antonio Spurs, one thing that the Nuggets have that the Spurs do not have yet: championship DNA. And I know there's a lot of conversation about this San Antonio Spurs team with respect to the win streaks they've been on, how they're blowing teams out left and right, but you saw a young team that still has to kind of experience those growing pains, those same growing pains that we saw Denver experience in the bubble against the Lakers. The same thing we saw in Denver, and I understand they were hurt when they got blown out in that series against the Golden State Warriors in their last championship year. And I think San Antonio is going to be a problem for years to come, but that's kind of why I've been a little hesitant. Like I'd much rather face San Antonio in a playoff matchup than Oklahoma City, just because we know what Oklahoma City is. They've been there, they've done that. I think San Antonio's still growing, and there were some sloppy possessions from San Antonio in overtime in particular that I also think were fueled by the Nuggets' ability to go out there and just rattle them defensively, switching left and right, on ball pressure, trying to keep the ball out of Victor Wembanyama's hand. And I think that's exactly ultimately what kind of led to this, along with some clutch shot making, and away we go. I mean, we'll talk about Nikola Jokic here in just a moment, as he was absolutely spectacular, but I think the big thing I want to hit on is the team dynamic, the team aspect of this win for Denver offensively and defensively. And yeah, I got a comment here. Maul was still off and still won 100%. I mean, I was texting back and forth with some media buddies watching the game, and I'm like, this is not the great Jamal Murray game that we were hoping for, the great Jamal Murray game that we've seen against San Antonio throughout the course of this season. Jamal finishes with only 15 points, 3 of 7 from 3, 4 rebounds, 10 assists, a couple of turnovers, but Murray tonight hit a big 3 when it mattered to kind of help turn the tide there late in the fourth quarter, and obviously ultimately as the Denver Nuggets get this win here against San Antonio, 136-134. Okay, let's hit a quick break. When we come back, let's talk about the big fella, kind of a dueling MVP game between Nikola Jokic and Victor Wembanyama, and I don't mean this in any way, shape, or form as disrespect to Wemby or SGA or Luka Doncic, but how could you possibly watch that game and not think Nikola Jokic is the MVP of the league? Let me know in the comment section. If you want to debate that, if you want to argue it, let me know. But how could you watch this game, Nuggets bias aside, as a basketball spectator, as a sports fan, how could you watch that game today and say Nikola Jokic is not the MVP? We'll talk about that when we come back right here on your Locked On Nuggets postcast. Back in just a moment, folks. All right, you guys. Real quick, let me tell you about our friends over at Betterhelp, because this episode is sponsored by Betterhelp. Financial stress is something a lot of people are carrying right now, and it's not just about numbers. It can affect your sleep, your relationships, and your overall mental health in ways that build up over time. And the reality is, struggling with money doesn't mean you failed. Sometimes it just means you haven't had the right kind of support. It's something I've thought about, how easy it is to put pressure on yourself financially without really talking about it. That stress comes from you trying to figure out everything on your own, the expectations you feel to have everything together in your life, and how that pressure can spill over into other areas of your day-to-day lifestyle. Therapy isn't about financial advice. It's about working through stress, the anxiety, and the emotions that come with it. With over 30,000 licensed therapists and more than 6 million people served, BetterHelp makes it easier to get matched and start focusing on what you need. When life feels overwhelming, therapy can help. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/LockedOnNBA. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnNBA. I got to be honest. If the Nuggets lost this game, I might have had to go to therapy. Thankfully, that's not the case. The Nuggets get the dub, but seriously, check out our friends over at BetterHelp and let them know that Locked On Nuggets sent you. Let me also tell you about our friends over at FanDuel. Nuggets were dogs today. Congratulations to anybody that took Denver. And the playoffs are here, where every possession matters, every matchup is magnified, and every game can swing a series. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers a great way to get in on the action, guys. Here's what I like about FanDuel. You can bet just $5 and get $250 in bonus bets if your first bet wins if you're a new customer. The app makes it easy to follow the action with player stats, trends, and matchups all in one place. And during the playoffs, that extra insight really matters when you're looking at stars, role players, and key moments. It just makes the entire playoff experience more engaging from start to finish. So just head to FanDuel.com to get started. FanDuel, play your game. Again, the Nuggets were underdogs today, so congratulations to anybody that took Denver. And let them know that Locked On Nuggets sent you. And let me also tell you real quick about our friends over at PrizePicks. The playoff push is heating up and tournament hoops are here, and there's no better way to get in on the high-flying action than with PrizePicks, America's #1 sports picks app. Every bucket, every assist, every big moment means more when you're building lineups on PrizePicks. PrizePicks makes it simple to play. It's daily fantasy built around player projections, so you can stay locked into every game. And here's what I like about it. You can pick just more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, which makes it quick and easy to jump in. You can mix different sports in the same lineup: basketball, baseball, hockey, and more. And features like early payouts let you lock in a win early if your player gets off to a strong start. It's a fun way to stay engaged, especially during the most important stretch of the season. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Be sure to check out our friends over at PrizePicks and let them know that Locked On Nuggets sent you. Yes, welcome on back into your Locked On Nuggets postcast. I'm Aniello Piro. Just a quick reminder, Matt, Swipa, and Ryan have not gone anywhere. This is just some additional post-game instant reaction content from yours truly. So if you could hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, would really, really appreciate it. Helps us out here on the channel. But without further ado,
this is the Locked On Player of the Game.
I wonder who we think the Locked On Player of the Game was today. It's obviously the big fella, the number 1-5, Nikola Jokic. I mean, what a game from Nikola today. One of those, I mean, my jaw has dropped more times than I can count with Nikola throughout the course of his career, covering him, being around him at practices and games and all that kind of stuff. My first year covering the Nuggets credentialed with the media was actually his rookie season. He was the third string center behind Yusuf Nurkic and Joffrey Laverne. So I've been able, fortunate enough, blessed enough to kind of see this journey in a different perspective and just kind of up close and personal. And Jokic today, 40 points, 8 rebounds, 13 assists, 3 blocks, no turnovers for Nikola Jokic. No turnovers. And look, Victor Wembanyama was doing his thing as well in this game. But when Jokic needed to take over and take command of this game, he was able to do that. I mean, that Sombor shuffle that you saw Nikola hit over Victor Wembanyama was absolutely poetry in motion. Absolutely poetry in motion. And one of a few different instances tonight from Nikola where you just saw him take control of this game. And I think that's one thing that Nuggets fans have always, I don't want to say been frustrated with. It's hard to be frustrated with Nikola, but like, you know that he has this in him. You know he has that just takeover, Super Saiyan, MVP, get out of my way, I'm going to do this myself type of mode. And we don't see it all the time, but today we saw it late in this game. And in a game that was nationally televised on Prime, and with the heat of the MVP race kind of coming down to it, look, I don't think Nikola is going to win the MVP, but you saw Nikola Jokic go out there and do what MVPs do. And again, I think Victor Wembanyama's had an incredible season. SGA's SGA, we know that. And Luka, I believe, is now ineligible, or at least he's hurt with respect to the MVP conversation. How could you watch that game and not say that Nikola Jokic, if we're taking it at literal face value, most valuable player, I don't think there's any player in the NBA more valuable to his team than Nikola Jokic. And he went out there and showed it today. Just an absolutely jaw-dropping performance. Oh, look at this. Jokic is the best player on the universe from an OKC fan. We love to see that. And I'm not going to sit here and trash Victor Wembanyama. I thought Victor Wembanyama had an absolutely spectacular game in his own right. Again, I mean, like he defensively, it's like, how do you get around this guy sometimes? I mean, again, Wembanyama with 34 points, 18 rebounds, 7 assists, along with 5 blocks. I mean, he was sensational tonight. But Jokic, I think, just in the matters when it mattered most. You saw him. He took 5 3-point shots today, only made 1, and it came at the absolute necessary time for Nikola Jokic and this Nuggets team. So, look, it's always fun debate. It's always fun conversation. I understand that Wemby and SGA and Luka are, the next guys up with respect to running the league and face of the league. But Nikola Jokic is not going anywhere. And I understand he's been banged up and he's been hurt this season. But I watched that game today against San Antonio. I'm like, give me this guy over all of them, at least right now. Obviously, Wemby, Luka, and SGA have more tenure ahead of them just because of where Jokic is at his career. But game for my life, if I need one, I'm taking Nikola Jokic. That's where I'm at. So, incredible performance today from Nikola and a couple other guys that I think had really important performances today.
It's time to reveal who made the biggest under-the-radar impact with today's X Factor.
I don't know if I could choose just one, so let me choose 3 and talk about them here in kind of rapid fire. Aaron Gordon, Cam Johnson, Christian Braun. And we'll start with Christian Braun because you saw that part of the strategy today for the San Antonio Spurs was to leave the 2 Browns, that being Christian and Bruce, just kind of wide open in the 3 to shoot their shots when they have the opportunity to. And Christian today, I think, took big advantage of that. He finishes with 21 points, second most points on the team today for Denver in the win. Also had the second highest box plus minus because of that, a plus 10 behind Jokic, who was a plus 12. But 5 of 11 from 3, 7 of 16 from the field, added 8 rebounds and 4 assists and a steal along with a block. And look, Christian's a guy that's been under a lot of scrutiny this year because of the contract that he signed, dealt with the injury, hasn't quite looked like himself throughout the course of this season all the time. But today was prime version of Christian Braun. Thought he did some good stuff as well defensively in moments too. And just hitting those 3-point shots. And look, I'm sure San Antonio is going to have to adjust now. You can't just leave Christian Braun wide open at the corner every single time. I mean, as Van Gundy is on the broadcast talking about how this is like shooting practice for him, and it was, but you got to take what's given to you, and Christian Braun was able to knock down those threes. And another guy who I think has been under an immense amount of scrutiny, I don't think there's anyone that's been more scrutinized on this Nuggets team this year, is Cam Johnson. 17 points today for Cam, 6 of 11 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3, 8 rebounds, an assist and 2 blocks for Cam. And some of those 3-point shots were just at absolutely massive moments to help kind of bring momentum back or amplify that momentum in the way of Denver. So I know we want to talk about Jokic and all that kind of stuff as we should, but Denver does not win this game today without Cam Johnson and Christian Braun as well. And they certainly do not win this game without Aaron Gordon. And we know how dangerous Denver can be with AG. And, I shouldn't say only, but he had 17 points tonight, 6 of 11, or I'm looking at Cam there. 15 points tonight for Aaron Gordon, 7 of 12 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. And I forget if it was this previous media day or maybe it was last year's media day where Gordon was asked about, like, what is he going to work on this year? What's his expectation for himself? And he kind of sits back, and he's smiling. He's like, I'm just going to turn up on defense. And that's exactly what Aaron Gordon did late in this game for the Denver Nuggets. I mean, it's so hard to guard Victor Wembanyama, but I think that Aaron Gordon did about as good of a job as anybody possibly could in that scenario. So Aaron Gordon was sensational today. And then kind of in closing, the Nuggets win a game where Jokic goes MVP mode. You get really good contributions from Aaron Gordon and different guys in Brown and Johnson. But Murray didn't even go off in this game. right? So when I say that there's something more for this Nuggets team, there's another level for this Nuggets team. Imagine if you have Jamal Murray firing on all cylinders. And San Antonio did a good job of kind of keeping Jamal out of the equation for the most part. But Jamal did what he needed to do to help put his teammates in a position to succeed and thrive and ultimately win this game. And Nikola Jokic essentially did the rest along with AG on defense. Whew, what a win. So much to kind of digest here in only 20 minutes, but it's a 136-134 victory for the Denver Nuggets, their best win of the season. The 3 seed is very much within grasp for Denver. Enjoy this one, Nuggets fans. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday afternoon. Ryan, Matt, and Swipe will have you covered with some additional Nuggets content as well. But for now, that's it for me. Hit that like button, subscribe button on your way out the door. Best win of the year. See if the Nuggets can build on it come playoff time, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Peace out, y'all.